This is GARIS, Masculist, MGTOW flyers. That is 2-3 page essays on the themes of masculism and MGTOW, written by and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. This is flyer number 397, part 2, entitled The Unconscious Arrogance of Monoconscious Feminists. Continuing straight on. This is the diatribe of a ex-boyfriend haranguing his monoconscious feminazi girlfriend. In your case, you have chosen to be a fluffy crapper, studying fluffy crap, the soft option, intellectually easy, intellectually lazy, memory-based majors that will deny you entry from the well-paid jobs, since your fluffy crap diploma will not allow you to earn good money. So you then, fluffy style, expect me to earn the big bucks, so you can sit on your fat big ass, literally, in a middle-class house, raising your kids, in brackets, as seen by the monoconscious, fluffy, feminist, hypocrite divorce court lawyers and judges, in brackets, and have me pay for it all. Well, fuck you, you hypocritical, monoconscious, misandrous, male-dumping, feminazi bitch. Go rot in hell, since in the coming years, nearly all men will have been infected with the masculist virus and will not go near you, treating you like the monoconscious feminazi plague that you are. You will be rejected by society, by men, and even by most women, who in time will become biconscious, sympathetic to how women oppress men, and change their monoconscious attitudes towards men. Otherwise, they, like you, will pay a horrible price. They too will be forced by men to rot on the shelf, utterly rejected by men, not even pumped and dumped, so that their monoconscious feminazi bitch genes are removed from the gene pool, that is, wiped out, eliminated, exterminated. You monoconscious feminazis don't give a shit about men. So we men, we masculists, who care about gender justice, don't give a shit about you. Since we men are nearly all fips, we don't need to be parasitic on women in order to survive financially. So we have the financial power to force women to fip up or be punished by being eliminated. In your case, you will not be able to have relationships with quality men, since, due to their superior intelligence, they are the first to go masculist, and are the first to reject fluffy monoconscious feminazis, hating them for their gender political hypocrisy, treating men as cash machines to be robbed and abused, especially in the divorce courts, and for their hated, utterly hated, opposition to the legislation of the para, that's paternity rejection right. The fact that most women and most feminists are so bitterly opposed to the para shows clearly what women really think of men, that is, as existing on this earth to pay for women to have babies. Masculism is essentially a rebellion by men against being man-slaves to women, against working for women. Now that women have the pill and a life expectancy into the 80s, they have a career window of half a century, so can, in capital letters, work. So the masculists are putting powerful moral pressure on women so that they must, in capital letters, work. Anything else is man-slavery, and to masculists, man-slavery is slavery, and slavery is a moral abomination, something to be hated. And if the gender laws are not soon men-fared, for example in the divorce courts, and the para legislated, etc., then masculists will go on a sex war, killing the gender politicians and thousands of monoconscious, fluffy, feminist divorce court lawyers and judges to stop one father in 4 from being financially crucified, having his life ruined by hated monoconscious, fluffy feminist hypocrites. You get my picture, you monoconscious, fluffy feminist hypocrite, you fat parasite. Go rot in hell and have a miserable, lonely, manless, childless life, you monoconscious feminazi. If you stay the way you are, you will pay a very heavy price. You won't just be dumped by me, you'll be dumped again and again as more and more men wake up to masculist consciousness, seeing fluffy women as manslavers who have to fip up or rot on the shelf, to be punished by men, spat at, reviled, and eventually, if the sex war comes, killed if they keep to their monoconscious feminazi hypocrite views. To masculists, fluffydom is manslavery, and manslavery is a war issue. We men will eventually kill such women, the way the Northern American abolitionists killed Southern American slavers of Negroes. Understand this and adapt, or rot in hell. To masculists like me, you're vermin to be exterminated. You are a manslaver. Go away and die, you hated monoconscious, fluffy feminist, hypocritical bitch. End quote. The above vitriolic diatribe of the masculist ex-boyfriend will be repeated millions of times in the next few years as young men have their masculist consciousnesses raised and, like a religious conversion, see women in an entirely new light as manslavers who have the moral duty to fip up, to bother to get a career-competent education so that they are not manslavers and so not to be hated and eventually killed. Masculist scientists are in a strong position to counter the unconscious arrogance of young monoconscious feminists by showing them that women are in fact the inferior sex at the top end of the performance scale. Masculist scientists will teach society the basic facts about women's intellectual inferiority relative to men at the top end. Masculist scientists will teach women and society the 6 basic truths about women's inferior intellects that everyone needs to know, especially small boys in primary schools who are currently being taught by monoconscious feministed female primary school teachers that men are toxic, men are rapists, men are morally inferior to women, that men make the wars, etc. Once the 6 basic truths about women's inferior intellects are known to everyone, including these little boys, then these boys can hit back at their female feministed primary school teachers with remarks like, "But teacher, you women have 10% smaller brains. You win 1% of the Science Nobel Prizes. So women are not superior to men, but inferior. So stop lying to us." So just what are the 6 basic truths about women's inferior intellects that young boys can hurl back at their monoconscious feminazi teachers, teaching them a lesson, humbling them, causing them to become less arrogant, less unconsciously arrogant, due to their absorbing only feminist ideas over their young lifetimes? Question mark. Here they are. I begin with the most damning, a simple truth that utterly crushes the feminist claim that women are men's equals, that science has known about for over a century, that is so simple to state that even little boys can understand it, and it is. Truth 1, in italics and bolded: women have 10% smaller brains than men. Thus, women have a 10% lower neuronal processing capacity than men. So it's not surprising that women build nothing, invent nothing, create nothing. Women have always been parasites of men's superior intellects. There are 5 other basic such truths. Truth 2, again in italics and bolded: women are dumber than men on average by 4 IQ points. This average IQ superiority of men over women is a result of women's hypergamy, that is, women's sexual selection of men who are smarter than the women these men mate with, so that the woman ends up with the DNA of a superior man for her kids, which is good for the species, so evolved. Truth 3. Men have a 10% higher IQ variance than women. Men's IQ scores over a whole population are more spread out than women's, which are more bunched up, so that the morons and the genii are men. Women cannot compete with men at the top end of the performance scale due to women's lack of genius. Truth 4. Women have won a pathetic 1% of Science Nobel Prizes. This is to be expected due to women being dumber than men on average by 4 IQ points, as shown by modern research, and having a 10% lower IQ variance. Truth 5. Women have 10 times lower testosterone levels in their blood than men. So women are far less aggressive, less ambitious, less dogged, less persistent than men, so give up far more easily at performing difficult, demanding tasks, thus achieving far less than men. So men dominate the entries in the who's who books of famous people. The term great man is well known, but the term great woman is almost an oxymoron. Truth 6. In all cultures, boy babies are more valued than girl babies. This is due to the fact that from long experience, all cultures know that a boy baby is much more likely to grow up to be a major contributor to the culture than a girl baby, who will grow up to be, in nearly all cases, a baby factory and child raiser. Admittedly an essential function, but not status-worthy, since any woman can do those things. Masculine scientists, like myself, can go a long way in crushing the insufferable, irrational, ignorant arrogance of monoconscious feminists by preaching these 6 basic truths, these 6 noble truths, in brackets, to paraphrase Buddhist teachings, to women, to society, so that when young men who have absorbed these 6 basic facts about women's inferior intellects are confronted by monoconscious feminazi arrogance, can crush it. And if the monoconscious feminazis object by calling the men who are pushing these 6 noble truths, quote, male chauvinist pigs, or male scum, then instead of being passive and unarmed with masculine intellectual tools, these masculisted men can ratchet up severely the ideological heat against these women, haranguing them out of the room, calling them, quote, Iscyanate innumerate fairies, monoconscious feminazis, the most hated of women, the first to be rejected by men, manslaving hypocrites in the divorce courts, misandrous male-dumping feminazi bitches, and the like. Giving these monoconscious feminists a real blast of masculine anger and venom, so that these monoconscious feminazis think twice about expressing their ignorant, biased, monoconscious feminist opinions, again, in public to mixed audiences, where men, and with increasing probability biconscious masculists, are present, through fear of having their fucking heads bitten off for being the unconsciously arrogant feminazi bitches that they are, insensitive to men's issues, not giving a shit about men, who in their monoconscious feminist eyes exist only on this earth to serve women, to pay for women to have babies. Such monoconscious feminists need to learn the lesson from the growing number of masculists and MGTOWs that their days of believing in monoconscious feminism are numbered, so that they will soon have their fucking heads bitten off by murderously angry masculists who no longer tolerate what the monoconscious fluffy feminists are doing to men in the divorce courts, causing 2/3 of young men to reject marriage and paternity, thus making these hated fluffy feminists indirect genociders, wiping out whole populations. Since men have 10 times the testosterone levels in their blood, when they become collectively angry at monoconscious feminists, the latter will not stand a chance. They will be blown out of the room and out of history. Cheers. Prof. Dr. Hugo de GARIS. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. Author of the book Masculism, Men's Rebellion Against Being Man-Slaves to Women, and e-textbook of 390 plus masculist flyers for men's studies courses. Freely downloadable in Microsoft Word format from my website. Ciao.